Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic. And today we have another puzzle by this, well, one of the upcoming geniuses of the world Sudoku scene, Codec. I think every puzzle I've done of Codec so far has been jaw-droppingly clever. And the reports on this one are that it is very clever apparently, and also quite bamboozlingly difficult, so be warned. Now, it's a normal killer Sudoku today, and the reason we've decided to do it is because, of course, our killer Sudoku app has just come out. So do have a look at that if you haven't had a chance to already. It really is full of some quite incredible puzzles. And I can say that because normally when we've released apps in the past, Mark and I have made most of the puzzles ourselves. And therefore, when you release the app, you're always wondering how the audience is going to receive it. Will they like the puzzles or not? Whereas this time, I've almost experienced the app as a buyer of the app, because I've worked through these puzzles by people like Fistamafel as a solver. And I know how good some of the puzzles are. They are, jaw-dropping. Well, jaw-dropping, I've used it twice as an adjective already in the video, but it is appropriate. Definitely check it out, and thank you so much to those of you who've taken the time to write reviews of the game. We really do appreciate that. So anything else to mention? Well, I have to keep you up to date with who's solving Cracking the Cryptid, which of course is our Sudoku puzzle hunt available to everybody on Patreon at the moment. It's quite a brilliant hunt, and we've got some new names, new solvers. Well, Alex Edwards, I have a bone to pick with you. I'm going to read your name out. I'm assuming you did solve it, but your email just said, "Wow, what a Sudoku hunt." It didn't actually give the answer to the Sudoku hunt, so I'm presuming you do know the answer. I'm trying carefully not to say the answer myself here, but yeah, Alex Edwards, I think, solved it. Joe Peterson definitely solved it, and so did somebody called Squirrel BVC, which is a great name. Well done to Squirrel. And I liked Squirrel's feedback. He said that his £3 he'd spent becoming a patron was truly the best value he'd ever spent. Well, never truer word was written. Now, let's get on to Codec's puzzle. This puzzle has an unusual name. It's called the Pufferfish. And I don't know why. As I was putting it into our software, I was trying to see whether I could draw a pufferfish somehow out of the cages, and I couldn't. Not that if you gave me a pen and paper, I'm not sure I could draw a pufferfish. But there's a sort of square down there, and there are various squares up here. Does that look like a pufferfish to anybody? It might do. I'm not sure. But anyway, apparently a pufferfish is in some way relevant to this. So let's hope that we can work out how. The rules, well, normal Sudoku rules apply. In cages, digits must sum to the small clue in the top left corner of the cage, and digits cannot repeat in a cage. And that's it. So what does that mean? So that means those three cells have to add to 20, and you can't, for example, put 9 into both of those and make that a 2, because although that seems to meet the rules of Sudoku, it does not meet the rule that says you can't repeat a digit in a cage. So don't do that. That will not work. Do have a go yourselves. The way to play: click the link under the video as usual. Now, I've been looking forward to this. Let's get cracking, and let's hope I've plugged my good brain in today, because I think this is going to be a challenge. Now, a 13 cage in 4 cells has to contain a 1. This is already a desperate start, because I'm not seeing any cages that are gimmies here. I mean, there's this enormous 45 cage. I mean, it's worth saying that obviously, as you can't repeat a digit in a cage, a 9-cell cage must contain all of the digits 1 to 9 exactly once each, which is why it adds to 45. But that is not going to help us to solve the puzzle. I mean, a 6 cage is either 1, 5 or 2, 4. There's a bit of a trick you can do on the box 1, because we know box 1, if we looked at the finished solution, would contain all of the digits from 1 to 9, obviously. Therefore, it would add to 45. Now, if you look in here, these 6 cells add up to 37. So those 3 squells, what's a squell? Those 3 cells must add up to 8, And the thing I know about 8 in 3 cells is it must contain a 1. And this is either 1, 2 and 5 or 1, 3 and 4, but we don't yet know the order. But hopefully one day we will. And hopefully that day is today, or this video is going to break my hard drive. Now, what on earth do we do next? We can... okay, I'm not... Oh, maybe... Well, what have we got there? We've got 29, so those add up to 16. That's no use. Here we've got 22, which means these 4 cells add up to 23. That is, to use a phrase of Mark's, as useful as a chocolate teapot. Now, no, I think we're going to have to resort to some sort of geometry gymnastics here. I tell you one thing I did think about when I was putting the puzzle into the software, which is that I did a puzzle a couple of weeks ago by Ard van der Wetering when I had to do a trick that compared the top left 5x5 of a Sudoku with the bottom right 4x4 of the Sudoku. Now I'm just wondering if that is relevant here, because I can see, I mean, it is a bit suspicious that these cages all sit very snugly within those regions. Now, the problem with this is that this relies on me remembering what the trick was in the Ard van der Wetering puzzle, and this was the one I trolled Mark with, because I gave it to Mark and didn't tell him the trick. And Mark got very cross with me, and it was extremely gratifying, but it's going to be a bit... I'm going to be hoisted by my own petard if I can't remember the trick now. It's... So this is 25 cells, this is 6... okay, so this is... Right, okay, I think I'm remembering it now, because this is 25 cells, this is 16 cells. The difference between 16 and 25, a knowledge bomb from Cracking the Cryptic, is 9, which suggests that this region up here might be the digits 1 to 9 different from these cells. Now, if that's true, how would we prove that? Yeah, I'm remembering. Haha, I've remembered. I think what you had to do was you considered an R-shaped region. This is what we did. This is what you had to do. Let's get rid of the purple. So how would we define the yellow cells here? I'll make them green, actually. How could we write down what the green cells were? Now, one way of doing it would be to say we'll take the digits 1 to 9. Obviously, that's what would appear in row 1. That's one set of the digits 1 to 9. That's a second set. That's a third set, a fourth set, a fifth set, etc. All the way down to the bottom of the grid. So that we can say that the green cells are 9 sets of the digits 1 to 9 minus the blue region, because obviously we don't want to double count those squares because they were included when we added these squares in. So one way of defining the green cells is as 9 sets of the digits 1 to 9 minus the blue. Now I think what you do then is you go, let's try and define it another way, ignoring this blue region entirely. So we could define it as 1 set of the digits 1 to 9, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now we're going to go down column 1. So this is the 6th set of the digits 1 to 9, the 7th set of the digits 1 to 9, the 8th set, the 9th set, the 10th set. But this time we've double counted these cells in doing that arithmetic. So what we're now able to say is that that green region that I just drew is equal. We can define it in 2 different ways. We can define it as 10 sets of the digits 1 to 9 minus the purple region, or we can define it as 9 sets of the digits 1 to 9 minus the blue region. So let's just make those things equal to one another. In other words, the purple region is equal to the blue region plus one set of the digits 1 to 9. And at least I've remembered that much. Now let's hope that this is relevant. I think it is relevant because I can see that it's going to... I think it's going to give us a relationship between these cells. Let's get rid of the green highlighting there. I think it's going to give us a relationship between these cells and these cells. Now, why do I think that? Well, it's because let's think about how we'd rewrite the blue side of the equation. What we've got at the moment is one set of the digits 1 to 9 plus the blue region. But the blue region can be rewritten as 45 plus 20 plus those cells. In other words, the right-hand side of the equation, and I'm not very good at these equations in my head, so forgive me if I get this wrong, but I think the right-hand side of the equation is now one set of the digits 1 to 9, which adds up to 45, plus this 45, that adds up to 90, plus 20, that's 110, plus the greens. So on one side, we've got 110 plus the greens. On the other side, we've got 45 there, that's a whole box, plus 15 is 60, plus 13 is 73, plus 14 is 87. So on the other side, I've got 87 plus these cells. So let's get this right. So now we've got 87 plus these two dominoes is equal to 110 plus those four cells. In other words, these two dominoes are equal to, what's that, 23? 23 plus those cells. And that's hugely powerful. That is hugely powerful because if these four cells here have to add up to 23 more than those cells, well, that's got to be an enormous restriction because what's the... Yeah, I mean, if we think about it, what's the maximum I could make these squares? Well, if I make them 8 and 9, both of these 8 and 9, that would add up to 34. Now, this is 23 different from 34, so this would add up to 11. So the absolute maximum that this can add up to is 11, which means if it was 11, it would be 1, 2, 3, and 5. But the minimum you can make four cells add up to in the same box is 10, with 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if this is 10, this would add up to 33, which would then be 9, 8, and 9, 7 in some order. So this is definitely important. So what we've now learnt is that these cells always include 1, 2, and 3. These dominoes always include a 9 in both of them, and one of them has an 8 in it, one of them has a 7 in it. We don't know which way round that is, or none of them has a 7 in it, and this is, both of these are 9 and 8. But there's definitely a 9 in both of them. Now that means there's definitely a 9 in the 18 cage. Because you can't put a 9 in 3 cells that add up to 8. Another knowledge bomb from Cracking the Cryptic. So what we've got now is this adds up to 10 or 11. This adds up to 33 or 34. There's definitely a 9 in the 18 cage. So the other two cells have to add up to 9, which means they are either, they're not 1, 8, 2, 7, 3, 6, 4. 4, 5 is not possible in there, because if we make this 9, 4, 5 triple, you can't fill the 8 diagonal, because you need 1, 2, 5 or 1, 3, 4. So this, let's label it up actually, this is either 2, 7 and 9, or it's 3, 6 and 9. And 8 must go in the 19 cage. And 8 can't go there in the 19 cage, because if 8 goes there, you can't put an 8 in either of these dominoes. And we know at least one of these dominoes has an 8 in it. So there's no 8 there. Oh. Oh, no, sorry. No, let's state the obvious before we get on to the complicated. If there is an 8 in one of those two cells, and there is, then there can't be an 8 in both of those dominoes. So if there can't be an 8 in both of those dominoes, yeah, this can't add up to 34. If it can't add up to 34, the only thing it can add up to is 33. So these cells do add up to 10, which means they're 1, 2, 3, and 4. And one of these dominoes is a 9, 7, and one of them is a 9, 8, but we don't know which. And then there's an 8 in one of those two cells. So if this was 8, this would be 9, 7. And this would be 8, 9 in that case. And if this is 8, it just works the other way around. That's 7, 9, and this is 8, 9. So there's always 8 and 9. Yeah, okay. So in row 3 and in column 3, the digits 8 and 9 always appear in two of these three squares. They might be in the domino, but if they're not, they'll be in one of those two squares. So there's always... So that means this square cannot be an 8 or a 9 in the 20 cage. Which means absolutely nothing. I don't think that means anything. It also means that these two squares in the 19 cage can't be 8 or 9. That's a bit more interesting. Because if we know those three squares include the digits 8 and 9, the maximum I can make these two squares is 6 and 7. Now if I make these 6 and 7, this square would have to be a 6, which it can't be because that would repeat the 6 in the... So this has to be bigger than 6. This has to be 7, 8 or 9. Another way of seeing that is to, if we try and put 6 here, these would have to add up to 13, but they couldn't be 6, 7, that would repeat the 6, and they couldn't be 5, 8, and they couldn't be 4, 9. So this is not 6, this is 7, 8, or 9. We don't yet know if this is... no, this can't be 7. If this is 7, these have to add up to 12, and you can't use 5, 7, you can't use 4, 8 or 3, 9. This is not 7, this is 8 or 9. Let's try again. Is this 8? If this is 8, these have to add up to 11 without 2, 9, without 3, 8. Oh, no, that works. That could be 4, 7 or 5, 6, I think. If this is 9, these have to add up to 10 without using 1, 9 or 2, 8. So they're 3, 7 or 4, 6. Which probably both of those are possible. So that's where we say the word bobbins. Now, so let's just take stock. Where are we up to? We've got some virtual 8-9 pairs. We've got an 8-9 here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 here now. So the 45 cage needs to contain a 1, 2, 3, and 4, but those can't be there. So they've got to be in those cells. You can't put 1 here, so 1 is either in this triple or in this triple. It'd be very useful if we knew it was in this triple, because then that would have to be a 2, 4 pair. No, okay. Okay, so that was a bit of a flurry of logic that's dried up. Our oasis of logic has melted away. No, it should be evaporated away. I don't know what to do now. So what do we do next? We're going to have to... What do we do? What do we do next? I keep coming back to this 45 cage. This does seem to be so carefully placed, doesn't it? Why is it here? Sorry about this. We're going to have to think here. We can... Do we have to keep using the odd thing somehow? So what we've used the odd thing to develop a relationship between these cells. Oh, that's a nice idea, actually. That's a nice idea. We could... Ah, yeah, that's beautiful. I've spotted what we have to do next. This is beautiful. Codec is really, really brilliant. This is lovely. Right, what we've got to do is we've got to go back. We've got to almost step back before we got to this point and think about the simple relationship that we established between the purple and the blue region. We established that the purple region was equal exactly in terms of the digits it contained, remember, not just the sum, the actual digits, because when we did the equations, we were thinking in terms of sets of digits 1 to 9, and we established that the purple region was equal exactly in digits to the blue region plus one set of the digits 1 to 9. Well, now look what we can do. If I look at the 45 here and the 45 here, I can just deduct these two sets of the digits 1 to 9 from each side of the equation. So if I remove one set of the digits 1 to 9 here and remove one set of the digits 1 to 9 there, then my equation will still hold. And that means that these digits, and hopefully my maths is not going completely doolally here, so these 16 cells, I'm saying, are now exactly equal to one set of the digits 1 to 9 plus whatever goes in those cells there. Because just let me reiterate that. The purple region overall was equal to one set of the digits 1 to 9 plus the blue region. So if I deduct one set of the digits 1 to 9 from both sides, yeah. If I deduct one set of the digits 1 to 9 from both sides, then it works beautifully. It just works beautifully. And why do I think this is important? Well, what I'd noticed as I was thinking about it a couple of minutes ago was that there are two 9s in the orange cells. Now, if there are two 9s in the orange cells, let's think about this equation. What I'm saying is that the orange is equal to this orange plus one set of the digits 1 to 9. But one set of the digits 1 to 9 can only take one 9. It can't take two 9s. So there must be a 9 in here. So there must be a 9 in the 20 cage. And okay, and now the 20 cage is forced because it's got two more digits in it that add to 11. And those digits can't be 2, 9, 3, 8 or 4, 7 because of the box. So this cage is now 5, 6, 9 for sure. And now, right at this point, we know exactly what digits go into the 16 orange squares at the top. Because we know that these 7 digits are the doubles, if you like. They are the only digits that that can appear twice in these 16 cells. So we can have 2 1s, 2 2s, 2 3s, 2 4s, 2 5s, 2 6 and 2 9s, but we can only have 1 7 and 1 8. And we know where they go. well, we don't know exactly where they go, but we know that they're in those 4 cells. So the 2 9s are in these cells, the 7 and the 8 are in these cells. So the rest of this is all 1, 2, 3s, 4s, 5s and 6s. And coming back down here again, those 2 squares have got to be 7 and 8. Which means 7 and 8 don't appear in the rest of the blue cells. I just love this idea. This is just gorgeous. I just want to come back to this and admire it. So the purple region is equal to the blue region plus 1 set of the digits 1 to 9. And therefore we can remove 1 set of the digits 1 to 9 from the left side of the equation, 1 complete set of the digits 1 to 9 from the right hand side of the equation, and it still holds true. And we just take the balance of the cells left in the purple region, and we know they must be equal to 1 set of the digits 1 to 9 plus the balance of the cells in the blue region. It's sublime. It's so simple, but it is elegant as you can shake a stick at, isn't it? It's just... Right, let's get back to solving now. But that is just... It's one of those ideas that is just elegant. Really is. Now this column now... I've got look at all those cells. They're 1, 2, 3s, 4s, 5s and 6s. So we need 7s, 8s and 9s in this column. So those are 7s, 8s and 9s. 7, 8, 9 triple in row 7. Which means this cell can't be a 7, 8 or a 9. Which means... I don't think it needed to be actually. Given that this is quite a high digit. No. Bobbins, that's not going to help us. We know there's a 1 in here. We know there's only one more 1 because 1 is only repeated once. So you can't put a 1 in both the 14 and the 15 cages. There's still a lot we don't know here, you know. This is all of this amazing logic, and I've still not got a digit in the grid. 27 minutes into the video. Hopefully this will get easier soon. How do we... This 7, 8, 9 triple, that felt very... Again, it feels deliberate that this has been revealed. And it was revealed... Yeah. Yes. Here we go. Yes. Where does 8 go in column 1? Where does 8 go in column 1? It can't go in those 3 squares because the 8's in the 19 cage. It can't go in those 2 squares because we know that those only have the options 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. It can go here, and in fact it does go here, because it can't go here because of the triple, and it can't go in a 3-cell 10 cage because the other 2 digits would have to be too small. So the 8 goes here and becomes our first digit in the grid. That means that's not 8. It means that... It means that this is a 7-9 pair, which means the other one must be an 8-9 pair, which quickly gives us another digit in the grid, because we know there's a sorry, I'm pressing the wrong buttons. We know there's an 8 in the 19 cage, which now goes there, which I've no doubt is important. I've just got to work out how. We've got 8s. Similar. This 10 cage now comes into its own. The 8's here and here. I mean, that must be an 8. Can't put an 8 in a 3-cell 10 cage. This 8 gives us the 8 and the 7 in the blue. Which this 8 gives us the 9 over here. 7, 9. Oh, maybe the puzzle just collapses now. Why did I say that? I am such... I need my head examining. I don't need one. Oh dear. 8 can't repeat in the 45 cage, so 8 must be in one of those two cells. 9 must be over there. 9 must be in fact in one of those two positions because of the 9 there. This domino needs to add up to 10 to complete the 19 cage, and it can't be 1, 9, 2, 8 or 3, 7. So that's 4 and 6. Does that matter for that then? So we've now got 11 to find. Yes, it does. Well, it matters a little bit. This cage needs 11 in this domino. Well, this 11 can't be 2, 9, 3, 8, and it can't be 4, 7, because this cell can be neither 4 nor 7, so this must be 5 and 6. That's going to fix. Oh, it fixes everything in this box, because now this triple here must be 1, 3, 4. It can't be 1, 2, 5, and that means that we know we can't use 3, 6 as our balance in here. So this is 2, 7 and 9. We know that one's not 9. There's probably some way of resolving the rest of that. I can't see what it is. The 4, 6 gives us the 6 and the 5. That can't be 4 by Sudoku. So this square, and this square are a 1, 2, 3 triple in the column. Oh, we might be able to do some. Oh, pick off the easy digits. That 12 cage. Look, this 12 cage here can't be 4, 8 or 5, 7. So this is 3, 9, and we know which order it's in. 9, 3. That's not 3 anymore. 9 is there in box 1, just by Sudoku, look. Let's get rid of the 9, get rid of the 9, get rid of the 9, pencil mark again. 9 is there for. I'm not sure. Hang on a second. Let's just see if we can go a bit further. 8 in box 5 can't go in the 13 cage, so it's got to go in one of those two cells. So 8's in one of these two cells. And we are stuck, are we? I was going to look at this cage, because I've now got 20 on the left hand side of it, 30 there, so those 3 squares add up to 15. Actually, maybe that's not as useful as I was hoping. 7 in box 2 has got to be on the right hand side of it. Which places 7, bizarrely enough, in box 5. It can only go there. So, what do we do next? Oh, I'll tell you an easy one. I still can't put 8 in this 10 cage. So where does it go? Well, it can't go there because of that 8, so it's got to go here. That fixes the 8s here. So this is not 8 anymore. 7, 7 is now forced into the 10 cage. If 7's in the 10 cage, in fact, we know where the 7 goes because I didn't spot that 7, but that 7 is definitely in the grid. It is real. Now it must be accompanied by a 1 and a 2. That forces that square to be a 3. That gives us a 1, a 4, a 3. This square's now a 2. There's no 2 in those cells anymore. This 7 is fixing the 7 and the 2 at the top as well. So the 7 and the 2 go in. That fixes the 2 and the 1 at the bottom. There's no 1 in these squares anymore. This square's a right in. That's a 5. So those two squares now, we know that they are 3 and 6. So let's actually put that in. If they are 3 and 6, they add up to 9. Therefore, these squares have got to add up to 6, and they can't be 2, 4. So this is a 1, 5 pair. And all of a sudden, this puzzle, which was resisting so dramatically, I think it's becoming Okay, I've done it again, haven't I? So how can we keep going? We can say with certainty that maybe this row 1, 2 and 7. Yeah, 1, 2 and 7 into those 3 squares. Well, you definitely can't put a 1 or 2 in a 3 cell 20 cage, so that's a 7. 7 is placeable by Sudoku, it's got to go there. Feels like I've done most of the 7s now. I'm not sure if that's true, but it feels like it is. These 2 squares have got to add up to 13, so they could be 8, 5, or they could be 4, 9. I'm not sure if that's resolvable. These 2 squares are 1 and 2, aren't they? Now that's probably going to give me this square, or at least a shot at getting it. Those add up to 27, 37. These have to add up to 8. So they're either 1 and 7, which is impossible. So this is 2, this is 1, this is 6, this is 1, 4, 5, which is done. 1, 4, 5 go in the grid. Those 3 squares, therefore, should be available to be written in. 2, 3 and 6. Okay, we don't know what they are, but we know they're 2, 3 and 6. These squares similarly have got to be 4 and 5. Still don't know what this 6 cage is. I suppose I've got 1, 2 removed from those. So that's got to be 1 or 2. This is 4 or 5. There's a 4, 5 pair now in the column. No 3 in those cells. Come on, Simon. Finish the puzzle. How long have I had? 37 minutes. That's not. I don't think that's that dreadful actually on this puzzle, assuming I can actually solve it now. So how can we make more progress? We can observe that 9. Can I do something with 9? 9's got to be in one of these 3 cells. If 9 is in there, it's got to be along with a 4. If 8 is in here, it's got to be along with a 5. Which might be helpful. Not sure. Stuck. 4, 5, 6 and 9. What is it I'm missing here? Sorry about this. I've no doubt a number of you are very... I tell you what it might be. There's a 4, 5 here. This is a 14 cage, so that can't possibly have a 6 in it. So that's a 6. So 6 now is in the 13 cage. So this 13 cage is known. Okay, that's going to be helpful because it's got to contain 1 and 6 and 2 and 4. In other words, these 3 squares now are also known. They have to be 3, 5 and 8. That's not 8. If these are 3, 5 and 8... Oh, I tell you another way of thinking about this that might be sensible. Maybe I should have just used row 6 of the grid, because I'm noticing now this 45 cage and the communication in it. Yeah, here we go. Those 3 squares have got to be 1, 3, 5 and 6. Now, if that's true, we can actually work out what those 3 squares have to be, because they are just the other digits. They've got to be 2, 4 and 9. And if they're 2, 4 and 9, this square is a 5, this is a 1. So there's no 1 in those squares anymore. This square is suddenly a 4, that's a 5. Yeah, here we go. This is a 2, 6 pair. If that's a 2, 6 pair, this is a 1, 4 pair. This square's a 2 now. This is a 3. 5 down here fixes a 5 over there. So this is a 6, 9 pair. The 6 is going to help us. Yeah, 6, 9. That's a 9 now, which means that's a 4. That fixes the 4 and the 5. this square should be a write-in, and is. It's a 3. That fixes the 5 here. So all of a sudden these two squares are a 1-6 pair, which we can do. There's no 1 in those cells, there's no 4 in those squares, so there's no 2 in these squares. We still need an 8 in this column. Let's put it in. 8 and 8 go into the grid. That becomes a 3. This is a 2-5 pair. This 4 is going to be huge. Yeah, 4, 1, 1, 5, 5, 2, 2, 6, 6, 3, and 9 and 7. Okay, this 9 here might be helpful. Yeah, we can do a little bit of tidying up. In fact, this square's a write-in, of course. That's got to be 4. Once that's 4, we get the 2 and the 9. The 1 and the 4 go in, the 4 and the 6 go in, the 6 and the 3 go in, the 3 and the 2 go in, and we click check, and that is how to solve Codec's latest masterpiece. What a puzzle that is. My goodness me, it's so clever. It's so clever. Some of the ideas around the top left box and the bottom right box are sublime, and I thank Ard van der Wetering for sending me, or for sending us, the puzzle that I did a couple of weeks ago, because if you don't know this trick, I'd be interested in the comments. If you don't know this trick, is this puzzle still solvable? And if so, how? And how easy is it? I look forward to reading those comments later on. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.